polluted city network pierce the skyline. Sensory supersaturation, information overload straight to mainline. With poison apple we'll sleep till the end of time. The possessors come only for skin to dance in, not by the hair of my chinny chin chin, said the white rabbit. Black static, blue flame, green inferno. Exhaust deep thought, nanobot, pseudopod, paradox, cephalopodic univalve moles. Got the tree of wooden clocks, men once were gods. Counting the cost of nuclear holocaust after nuclear holocaust. What is it and what is it not? Will we change all the Jabberwock and Medusa mohawk? Octopus apocalypse, tentacles for genitals. I've got my x-ray spectacles, snapping vaginist and tetamad had a vendetta. Ain't it fun, the black hole sun? Give me that old time religion like the decay of plutonium. No, stop me if you've heard this one, but there's nothing to be done except fly your wax wings too close to the sun. What's done is done, can't be undone. I got 99 red balloons, but a bitch ain't one.
Don't you want devoted followers who lead their families for you, give their money to you, give their bodies to you, give up their lives for you, consider you God, and will kill for you? Don't you want to become a cult leader? Since the death of God, there's been a vacancy open. You could fill that void. Here's how.
Here's your coffee. And are you ready for your morning briefing? Yes, sir. Okay, well, you were sleeping.
The US falls to its own fundamentalism and the UK crumbles to third world poverty. Those fertile green fields have withered to weeds and we lack the means to grow our feed. The population production duly processed into Tesco's servitude, where we worship at the altars of ATM dispensers, take cash communion, pay commission on guilt in all those gold temples we saw fit to build. We say make payday a holiday, but the icing on the cake is that we stay half-baked. A mindless parade replacement of the welfare state, enslaved to minimum wage in the Colgate death camps, mining for fluoride. Sparkle, sparkle, it's like a vision of a dystopian future where nothing has changed and everything's the same. Let's get our priorities straight. Emergency airdrop, Calvin Klein, Adidas, Reeboks, or Sudanese orphans on celebrity charity TV marathons. Look fat, funky, fresh, lest our eyes be offended. We got corporate sponsorship, let's use it. Now let's lose it and let's break the news. Tie a million red balloons to Tony Blair and set him free to fly. Let's break the news, yeah, let's break the news. Reveal the launch codes right after this. Don't touch that dial, stay tuned. Stay tuned, yes, stay tuned, yes, stay tuned at your station. We appreciate your patience and we'll inform you of all changes. Stay tuned while we break the news and enact the laugh track. Laugh track. Laugh track. Laugh track. Laugh track. Laugh track. When audience attack, the celebrity death match and shark-infested gunge tank, the laugh track. When hollow masses cast in wax, smell a rat to smash the glass mask facade and take the ruling classes to task. The laugh track, cause if you drop the act with a smile, crack, the laugh track. Hang on to your hats when we're going back in time with our sports almanac, laughing all the way to the bank where all the mirth stops when we see what they did to our cash. The laugh track, cause when the stock market crashed, we just guffaw and clap, barter with jokes and the economy collapsed. The laugh track. Forthcoming attractions, the detractors come back with the whiplash gag. Enact the laugh track, the clown protocol. Set all pies to splat, sidetrack the fat cats, take back the knack with the grasp of the pack, but not just that. The laugh track providing rounding applause for tax. Live on air. All the fun of the fair beamed direct to central nervous system pay-per-view behind the scenes. Have you seen the world run off teleprompter, held in check with stool and whip and sawdust cages with bare teeth? The laugh track, escalating wacky tie day till those in public office write policies double-teamed in pen of donkey. We smear recorded history with seltzer and grease paint, but we'll need a volunteer from the audience. You, come on down. Stop hitting yourself. Stop hitting yourself. Stop hitting yourself. Stop hitting yourself. Primordial soup when every single cell amoeba knew exactly what to do now. Who's living vicariously through arbitrary superstars, too stressed and broke to think. The laugh track, crippled under capitalism and ruled by such brats. Don't stand and fight as a man, but act like a child. Cause the best counteraction to authority is laughter. 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 Laugh track. 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 Laugh track.
The world won't end on December 2012. In the chaotic endless spirograph of opening comet flight past, don't disregard the repellent properties of gravity or chances of impact. Earthquakes, invasion, jihad or drought, starvation, infection or consumed by sun. Bubonic, pandemic, ban populace perish. AIDS, cancer and avian flu will diminish your numbers but not wipe the slate clean. But then, does the statistical probability of that thing happening exceed the chances of mathematics failing? Ask not for the minute or the hour, it's on a need-to-know basis. We power the stasis with spells like the ancients. Lift your head and rejoice as we pilot spaceships toward polar cliffs. Just as talismans cast into deepest seas invoke monstrous serpents of Poseidon's wrath. Soul to waste and debris festers beneath the birth, the end of all things. Self-modifying software scans the skies for habitable planets to colonize. Little realizing aliens look likewise to us, cause everybody needs a replacement home planet. Bishop William Blackie and Cotton Mather, William Miller, Jim Jones, George Bush, David Koresh's Davidian sect constantly calculate a catalogue of apocalyptic anticipations and revelations is a metaphor. Duplicate the faithful under Roman rule that their beliefs should sustain this fledgling meme with survival instinct, deceiving host bodies to propagating praise. We violate the DNA with fuckers like in the bottom of grave. We're bugging our days for a bash at the gate. The money we make when the Kraken wakes his fire in the sky on Siberian plains versus liquid fallout drowned worlds. Here comes the rain. Woe to thee, O earth and sky, inexorably swallowed under rising tides. The HYDRONOMICON foretells of elder ones. The fish people shove naked raft were slaves to water. Under waves that contained under rain, they'll be chained under restraining membrane. Rain and blood no more. Non-Euclidean's a pitiful excuse for not comprehending impending doom. The rain came from the sky, but not from the clouds. There will be no survivors under liquid invaders. Poseidon and Leviathan were pale in comparison under the sheer weight of the seas that we summoned them with enchanted mossmen and crab people and spawn of the sand. In catacombs in major cities, ancient cosmos cataclysms and call up contaminants to speed up the process. Lying in wait until humans wipe themselves out. Simple extension of evolutionary progress when there's no use for Earth. All life will extinguish. We're getting dragged back to year zero with anthropogenic ecocide, hell and high water. Fire in the sky on Siberian plains versus liquid fallout drowned worlds. Here comes the rain. Here comes the rain. Here comes the rain.
The good people were drawn by the thousands, spellbound by the unspeakable charm of the fete, the overpowering somber spectacle, and the profound effect of music. Yes, music. A macabre pageant, a tragic comedy of doom and death and agony, set to music and orchestrated screams in the holy name of the Mother Church.
Krowne fused to scalp, ravens for eyes, muscles to thrown teeth marks in the wounds. Active saliva samples predict the probability of an imminent attack. Embryonic comet tails penetrate your barricades, infect with cannibalistic venom. Every thought is now of meat under the knife. Form of Sphinx in the library, rat on me bones and skullduggery. The anti-human frequency like Mother Teresa and Florence Nightingale, acting on purely selfish motives, believing behavior on Earth guarantees eternity of heavenly bliss. Empty eyes, encoded vortex, insects, a Mars crawl, claustrophobic catacombs, Trojan virus feeding frenzy, Messiah mechanics, poisoned with maggots and razors inserted. What began in a meadow will end with an apple.
Do you know what the most frightening thing in the world is? It's fear.
We're puppets of bone in a theatre of flesh, all silent and still, awaiting a script, severed marionettes with no heartstrings to pluck. All silent and still, under the last dust. Under the last dust. We're puppets of bone in a theatre of flesh, all silent and still, awaiting a script, severed marionettes with no heartstrings to pluck. All silent and still, under the last dust. Under the last dust. Time wave zero, planting seeds in a storm. There are unanswerable questions in the incompleteness theorem, like bearers of stigmata frequently exhibiting wounds in accordance with their favorite depictions of the crucifixion. Static chain reaction impregnates combusting tissue, swallowing reflections, stealing shadows from graveyards in the torture garden of unearthly delights. Wolf king and goddess divinity with whom I break bread to make it the trinity. Organisms organize and be consumed by flames. We get blazed with blades to the gate. Small parts isolated and destroyed. Bertrand's toys were just patterns in the void. Wide open, the world will eat itself, populating train wrecks and earthquakes. Who rations as compost down through the ages. Last days, hands played end game, let the plague from its chains. Get your voodoo on. Get your voodoo on. We're puppets of bone in a theatre of flesh, all silent and still, awaiting a script, severed marionettes with no heartstrings to pluck. All silent and still, under the last dust. Under the last dust. We're puppets of bone in a theatre of flesh, all silent and still, awaiting a script, severed marionettes with no heartstrings to pluck. All silent and still, under the last dust. Under the last dust.
puppets out of flesh, all silent and still, awaiting a script, severed marionettes with no heartstrings to pluck, all silent and still, under the last dust. Flash, we're puppets of bowling.
What the fuck's up with the flowing red streams, rated blood jesters towards 12 stations of the flood wrestlers out of Dali's chest of drawers, crimson tide, they're thirsty for yours, Transylvanian hunger, cold soul, hypno vertigo, zombie apocalypse, hip hop a go-go. You heard it on the radio, you seen it on the TV show, tortured souls renounce love for gold. Great goblin god, tended to advent grapes, serpent in the rainbow by tales through orthogonal stargate, cataclysmic metaphysics, carnivorous cryptogenesis, a goddess divinity offers a worm up to my seeking, still the keepers of the secrets of East are please, sir. I want some more. Doors of perception, never learned no lesson. Ectoplasmic, spastic, splatterfish, microgenetics in the cranium of alien paleontology. The gods whisper softly, the torch of the mystics has always been right there on top of me, deceived into thinking it was lost to me. I and I don't see eye to eye in the nuclei of Gaia. Bring the winged octopi, bring the fucking ritual. me again. I'll reach up to the heavens only to get better reception. I know about the undead, but who let the rest in? And what the fuck's up with the flowing red streams in my kitchen? No one can hear you scream. Serenity and sex murder are the fallen angels. All dream of hard crest start on the Ragnarok accelerator, resurrection calibrator, undoing the work of the candlestick maker, cremator, undertaker, alignment of the 80 skyscrapers. I never meant to take your flesh in an open heart to goddamn death. The chest was worried where the map said X, half explained, half disdained. We penetrate your membrane and picked up your scent by following stains. We deny you salvation, so instead you pray for PlayStation. There is no safe haven like fucking knocking the hillipitification. I don't see eye to eye in the nuclei of Gaia. Bring the winged octopi. Bring the fucking rituals.
Tomorrow, and tomorrow, and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to day, to the last syllable of recorded time.
Suddenly there was a violent earthquake. There rises a vision out of the earth. A pyramid of colored light, with a pointed shield carved on its side. The church rises on divine despair.
It brings our friends up from the underworld.
Disciples raised from the dead.
Rotting corpses with snails crawling out over them.
For death in life, the days that are no more.
We met at the crossroads of evidence and faith, and we scorched the whole earth with the best damn steak on the make in the wasteland. We take what never changed and still got the same damn style we ever had. We set Geiger counters off the scale. We're the beauty and decay and the warriors of plague, looking fabulous in the danger zone. A pimp that rides made a sellotape, but the fact of the matter, the cracked Chernobyl reactor, Zed for Zachariah, we're sick in the head, Mad Hatter. We cruise black matter, causing splatter for street trash. The fascists of solitude, the fallout grew. We cruise desolation with devastating style, getting crunk in the rubble of the new world wild. We've conquered the earth from New York to the Nile. The last man on earth, we rock apocalyptic guile. We set governmental tech in effect, black and sky left behind, devastated like the craters we created. Like tears from the sky, yo, we got free reign. The monarchy in tatters, we melt down crowns for our gold-plated hideout where the disco lights out. So we swing flashlights and improvise a dance floor, makeshift and ramshackle, but we got the goods. The whole world's our playground, so okay, let's go play.
See, they return, one and by one, with fear as half awakened.
Superfly infested, let's get wet. Who's got the best dress? Wounds, guess who? Yes, you bought dead flesh. Shoes raw in a test tube, caught by the thought of the mess you left, dude. At least some people died. You didn't even try. Splatter brain, matter of fact. You fucked my peace of mind. Down with that sort of thing. That's what I ought to think. Catching you off guard, on guard duty, snatching 40 wings. Perimeter breach, perimeter breach. Unhappily, I spill my daiquiri, leap from my seat. If the creature kills, that'll be that. People as me. It'll eat its fill, snack on me fat, sweet little treat. Feel the teeth of the beast sinking into my neck. See my cheeks are a feast, cheese eating bits of my leg. The beef feature complete with real special effects. Now I'm super fly infested, let's get wrecked.
People are too frightened either of seeming to be shocked or of seeming not to be shocked.
So I'm eating toxic fruit, safe within my rad suit. 223 generation that I'm breaking out the red boots. Earth toxic, fire toxic, water toxic, air toxic. Physically I'm disfigured, I'm half man, half robotic. I hypnotize your R complex, leave your lizard legs leaping over hot rocks until your heart starts attacking and attaching and contracting. But you can call me captain. I'm slapping your hat to the ground to the sound of what happened. I'm a dead man walking, desert back parasite. Where the hell's he come from? I'm like, quite. Deep People think I'm not right, light brain, isolated, see me like a loner, socially disintegrated, desperately disinterested, hopelessly disassociated, psychotically unempathic, romantically tragic. I want to leave a message, so I'm not forgotten. Outside is rotten, inside is rotten. I harnessing my bile, infinite and never stopping. Outside is rotten, inside is rotten. I cut a preacher like silhouette, so full of my introspect, beautifully broken, killer with a knife set.
And all our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death.
Excuse me. I got a question. Why they still playing that 1995 shit? DJs need to wise the fuck up and play my shit. Stop giving them binaries, 1-0, yes, no, too obvious an opt-out clause. Then the clause come out, yo, fuck the music industry. Don't even want a piece of that boy band mentality. Ignorant journalists suck a cock of COWTSHTF and masturbate to that. Lifestyle is commodity, credit card is passport, poverty is the lexicon. Call me a rejecticon, every sale's a mark of shame. The faces may change, but the song remains the same. Keep your tribe insulated, fuck commodification. Never set out for sponsorship, fuck your product placement. Bought and sold comedians, fabricated rap stars, prostitute actresses. Never drove a fast car, last bar, push bar, investigate the interstices. Refuse the fucking money shot, instead invest in intellect. Knowledge is free, recognition has a heavy fucking price tag. Nice bag, time lag, Black Lantern rhyme fag. Jupiter Tea Party climate changer, destined for asphyxiation. Rape culture, pedo gaze, tainted politician. Secret society incorporated. Texture, the hedonistic vapor chaser. Ghost reconnaissance, private sector, militia infiltration. Ends against the middle, expect the empty imitation. I'm fucking wasteland fabulous, dance with enchanted octopus. Whatever they choose to tell you, there is nothing left, whatever. Oxygen all used up and you ain't looking very clever. Things fall apart, the center cannot hold. Flash forward, mere anarchy is loosed upon the world. Collapsed into a vortex with vagrants behind barriers. Relax back, dose yourself an indifferent ether. The more you ignore it, the closer it gets. This is texture, reporting from the neither.
Well, there goes the generator, boys.
We cruise desolation with devastating style, getting crunk in the rubble in the new world wild.
We cruise desolation with devastating style, getting crunk in the rubble in the new world wild. We cruise desolation with devastating style, getting crunk in the rubble in the new world wild. We cruise desolation with devastating style, getting crunk with the rubble in the new world wild. We cruise desolation with devastating style, getting crunk with the rubble in the new world wild.
We cruise desolation with devastating style, getting crunk in the rubble in the new world wild. We cruise desolation with devastating style, getting crunk in the rubble in the new world wild.
We cruise desolation with devastating style, getting crunk in the rubble of the new world wild. We cruise desolation with devastating style, getting crunk in the rubble of the new world wild. We cruise desolation with devastating style, getting crunk in the rubble in the new world wild. We cruise desolation with devastating style, getting crunk in the rubble in the new world wild. We cruise desolation with devastating style, getting crunk in the rubble in the new world wild. We cruise desolation with devastating style, getting crunk in the rubble with the new world wild. We cruise desolation with devastating style, getting crunk in the rubble in the new world wild. We cruise desolation with devastating style, getting crunk in the rubble in the new world wild. We cruise desolation with devastating style, getting crunk in the rubble in the new world wild. We cruise desolation with devastating style, getting crunk in the rubble in the new world wild. We cruise desolation with devastating style, getting crunk in the rubble with the new world wild. We cruise desolation with devastating style, getting crunk in the rubble with the new world wild.
witch's cunt was always busy when the malarkey was in port. The lone toothless regulars would be sworn by a raucous and ramshackle gaggle of privateers, opportunists, roustabout, scallywags, salt dogs, prostitutes, scammers, urchins, drunkards, some fresh onto land after months away plundering, but most hoping to take advantage of the crew's newly acquired but always short-lived good nature and fortune. Frothy, pungent ales flowed freely into crusted mouths over swollen bellies and into the creaking floorboards. Bites, tall tales, gropes, mouldy pies and rat shanties were just as rampant. As it was Christmas Eve, most of the village were awake and all, many of whom were of respectable standing, reported that it was around 11:11 that a noxious gloopy red started staining the thick blanket of snow that covered the village, spreading outwards from the dense forest that marked the village border. The villagers further reported a young, naked and bedraggled girl with matted hair walking towards them. She seemed to be the epicenter of the curious red tarnish in the pristine snow. It was John Parves, the cobbler, who took her in. Entries in his diary from that time state that she was unable to speak and shrank from human contact. As she grew, she remained unable to master the language and would frequently disappear for extended periods. After Mr. Parves passed on, she remained in his house with what seemed to be a daughter fathered by the cobbler, shunned by the rest of the villagers. Grotesque parodies of aristocratic attire. Two of the attendants dragged the boy in front of the judge. He struggled violently against the grip, his jewellery rattling a mortal percussive march. One of the attendants ripped his baseball cap off his head and they forced him to his knees. Pseudo-memories, phantasmagoria, projecting down from the images, in the middle of Downing Street, dressed in the finest suits available at that time. Although all of his name lapels had been cut out of his clothes, the only clue to his identity was a handkerchief monogrammed with the initial J. He was reported to be clutching a thin foil strip of tablets that did not correspond to any medication known at the time. His identity was never ascertained, although the investigation was hindered somewhat by the disappearance of the corpse 3 days after its discovery. Of course, the crew had been cursed to roam the sea as vague ghosts until they reached their home, so by sprinkling London soil on the deck they were set free. Although once the curse was lifted, so was its ghostly preservation of the ship, which then had a lot of decay to catch up on. We lost many men as it suddenly crumbled into the briny depths. It was a garish and lavish spectacle. The gallery was holding nothing back in their launch of tortured fashion and rape chic. Canapes of child blubber and kitten fetus soufflés were served to the usual intolerable crowd of meta-tattooists, unnecessary surgeons, gore weavers, body theorists, amongst the quite frankly pedestrian omni-limbed bondage contraptions and intel piercings. The obvious highlight was John Parves' crimson the statuesque model bedecked in an initially pristine white negligee while razor pendulum earrings lacerated her neck and shoulders as she stalked the catwalk, splashing patterns of blood over her flesh and dress. Silhouetted against the dark and folding skies, his 3 prongs of green hair tied back and grease-painted face both stained with blood and tears. Grimaldo the weeping spurred his lumbering albino rhino down the slope towards the tavern. She had been working late at school to do some marking and chancing to look out the window, was surprised to see a thick layer of crimson snow blanketing the playground. Her transfixed gaze was broken by the sound of someone shuffling behind her and the sound of a filing cabinet slamming. Turning around, the arcade desks and blackboards she saw were later verified to be the classroom as it would have appeared 100 years previously, awash with debris. The grey sea lapped at the pier off which Crack dangled his legs and fishing rod, his fleshy vein jostled by the shattered computer's structural plots and bloated and bobbing carcasses and cylindrical discards. Nothing would bite, his family would not eat. All things in cycles, his father once told him before the night the crimson snow had taken him. All will grow and decay, to each their turn. All things in cycles. Reluctant to give up on the only chance of a meal, but knowing a crimson snowstorm was coming in, Crack packed away his rod and slid home, his tentacles leaving a glistening trail of mucus and contaminated sea oil along the pier. The Babylon virus had been prepared and scheduled for release on the anniversary of I Smell Sulphur, 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 I Smell Sulphur.
tells the legend. The cancer is spreading with every TV beheading. We're heading for thermonuclear ending. And the innocent victims cry out from the prisms with no prison to piston. Existence begets the pockets of resistance. She's decrepit, communicates with gestures. She wears a sign around her neck, says wage your war elsewhere. The goddess divinity offers technology so we can breathe out to space and let her to breathe. The goddess divinity offers technology so we can breathe out to space and let her to breathe. Do you see yet through the layers it's got all the animals scared? How you prayed and you paid and you thought you were saved, but the secret handshake was a fist to the face. False memory syndrome wasn't built in a day. Baby, it'll be better if we wait for the spike punch at heaven's gate. OCTOGATE, Kraken wakes, renegades, and deepest waters you wade with all the machines you made. Armageddon 8 million, Betamax, memory usage, maximum overdrive and robots attack. Smash the glass, tear off the mask, part of path, had a total colony collapse. A blood-soaked party political broadcast. Spill no more blood for Big Macs. Armageddon again and again and again and again. 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 Once upon a one boy for sale stuck in a tunnel of the belly of a whale. Subtitled undecided responsibilities malice. I scream metaphysics under cover of wideness. For she holds the keys to set me free off this wheel. Is gently moving creature to creature magazine reading and under the sea. We got all kinds of things for what's safe and what's not. We ought established patterns extracted, take rapid madness and laughter like Masada. Your daughters take to the slaughter. Cold-hearted brothers, frost giant lovers. Forward the Cyclops huntsman for 9 days and nights with eye patch from Brad's hang. Reverberating down the roots of the world tree. Once you hear me, the world will look at you differently. From blackened skies, Oscar I with a Valkyrie with one blind eye and a battle cry. Lonesome is my name. It's difficult to pin blame when we all play the same game. Neither name nor number, it's a global slumber party. So sleep ill, or do what you will to inspire charity. Set fires, arsonists, Samaritan, good versus evil. Come on people, I hate to leave you at so critical a juncture. Jump, start your morality. Take what you see as divisible by lighthearted, vague metaphysical manifestations. Obsessions with good and fighting the right fight. Yeah, right, nothing is true, everything is permitted. I'm just a lapsed optimist who can't hold my arsenic. Call me the exorcist on the shores of Loch Ness. Copernicus cites me as the axis. Getting twisted on pop physics, hieroglyphics, burning bridges, making our trolls homeless. Staring into the abyss, the old man of the mountains gone insane with viruses, war crying over spilt milk and human kindnesses. There are ways you can protect yourselves, try this. Desperate survivalists to survive the apocalypse, mate with cockroaches. I will raise a sword as your cities fall to ruin. Straight up, no fooling, all resources consuming. After 2 million years I say, go humans, go humans, go humans, go. Go humans, go humans, go humans, go. Here is something you can't understand. I saw Madeline McCann's of the Wrath of Khan. I'm a voice at the bottom of the village of the damned. When the shit hits the fan, I'll hold the whole damn world in the palm of my hand. I say we need an escape plan. We need to evolve really small, or at least in the shape of a ball, and scuttle off like insects.
Wordless language opens portals, but careless talk costs lives. Wordless language opens portals, but careless talk costs lives. Wordless language opens portals, but careless talk costs lives. Wordless language opens portals, but careless talk costs lives. Wordless language opens portals, but careless talk costs lives. Wordless language opens portals, but careless talk costs lives. Wordless language opens portals, but careless talk costs lives. Wordless language opens portals, but careless talk costs lives. Wordless language opens portals, but careless talk costs lives. Wordless language opens portals, but careless talk costs lives. Wordless opens up, careless, slot, language of portals like cost. Asthmatic Astronaut, Harlequin 8. This is the paradise lost, the pandemonium regained. In the absence of truth, new meanings emerge. Theirs are the symbols, mine are the words. In the absence of truth, new meanings emerge. Theirs are the symbols, mine are the words. In the absence of truth, new meanings emerge. Theirs are the symbols, mine are the words. Astronaut, Harlequin, astronaut, Harlequin, astronaut, Harlequin, astronaut, Harlequin, astronaut, Harlequin, astronaut, Harlequin.
are your stitches?
I'm done, sister. How are your stitches? And your stuffing?
Undone. Exposed. And yours?
Sister, I am gaping.
Shall we sew you up?
I like being open.
Think of all we could fit inside.
And all that could come out.
And all that that would mean.
Feed me a wolf.
Not until you're older.
You'll grow old too.
Maybe so.
Shall we play then, before it's too late?
What games shall we play?
We have sawdust and buttons. We have needles
and thread.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Witchery.
Let's not play that, Eve. That's not who we are.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
The Witchfinder.
But we have no need of a witchfinder. Sister Eve, we're not playing witchery.
Then, Sister Lilith, what shall we play? Razorblade babies?
Make a world.
Brittle bone break?
Temptation.
Open the portal?
And go for a swim.
Witchery, you know. I know.
What?
The king's lost his head, needle and thread. But we have but 2 crumbs of bread. Needle and thread.
The children are fidgeting in their beds.
Needle and thread.
What shall we do with the greedy?
Needle and thread. What of the prosperous?
Needle and thread. Shall our kin follow us?
Needle and thread.
Knitting the bones.
Needle and thread.
Knitting the bones.
Feed me a wolf and sew me back up.
Then you bear fruit.
Yes, a strong and ferocious huntsman.
And when his townsfolk find him out,
Gaiety. He'll dance thrice around the gallows and return to me.
don't be hasty.
What of a wasp? Or of a chainsaw flower metal?
What then of blood?
Blood.
It's what keeps things alive.
Then feed me a wolf and sew me back up.
You'll change your mind before your time, but until then, serpents are not without their charm.
Father can change shape to do it. Can we?
Only what can be done with needle and thread.
You're a better seamstress than I.
And you a better doll maker.
Knock, knock.
No, Sister Eve.
I am the Witchfinder.
That's not funny.
Have you any witches?
Stop.
Do with them. Ho, ho, ho. No, I just find them. That's my job.
Maybe we shouldn't do the stitches in your head so tight next time.
Maybe we shouldn't stitch you back up at all, Sister Lilith.
And who'd bring you meat?
Tell me the story of the beginning again.
The Wolf King?
Yes.
After there was nothing.
Yes.
Before there was now.
Yes.
There was nothing. Then there was something.
How?
The Wolf King created himself out of void.
Needle and thread knitting. And then?
The Wolf King was lonely. So he stroked himself to create a beautiful daughter for himself from his seed. But the daughter also grew melancholic. She wanted to conceive too.
Needle and thread.
So the Wolf King cut off his right arm and fed it to his daughter, then bore him 7 serpent children. Because
whatever the Wolf King wants, the Wolf King gets. And what the Wolf King wants is you.
what the Wolf King wants is you.
What the Wolf King wants is you. And what of the huntsman?
Or the cyclops,
Or the scullery maid?
or the witch,
Or the swineherder?
or the candlestick maker,
The mortician and midwife?
to the seamstress.
All needle and thread.
Needle and thread.
And what of the seamstress?
We are all responsible for needle and thread,
For knitting the bones?
for weaving the flesh,
Feed me a wolf and sew me back up.
needle and thread,
Sew ourselves together.
needle and thread,
And play as witches forever.
needle and thread to scissors and rags,
Scissors and rags to needle and thread.
knitting the bones,
And weaving the flesh.
needle and thread to scissors and rags.
Scissors and rags to needle and thread.
Kaleidoscopic, gratifying ancient observances. Sulfuric hack, soul's gods into skin within. Dismemberment, sacrifice secretions. The embryonic cascade the universal membrane contains. Red riding, drifting, dripping meats. Labyrinth, delirium, and house of leaves. We lose our way and call upon the minotaur, decayed and unpredictable. Extracting pollination with mechanical incisions. Spreading wings envelop all nutrient emissions. Speaking vermin, serpent tongue, like gods of grave and shadows who, the seven who are one. Paranoid theology, the evidence deceives. Your crucifix is a gimmick faced with primal electricity. Cockroach mathematics, we calculate the summoning. We calculate the summoning. In Lilith's garden we unpack worlds. There we make our paradise. In shafts of light we download light. In Lilith's garden we unpack worlds. There we make our paradise. In shafts of light we download light. There we make a paradise. There we make a paradise. In shafts of light we download light. In Lilith's garden we unpack worlds. There we make our paradise. In shafts of light we download light. Haloed by attendant insect swarms we stitch together hair and bone. Conjoining links with wooden wings we nail to gristle. Claw and clay, so eternal stones and scales. I saw the emperor naked, drowning in the wishing well. The answer in the question, play card to the castle. How will we save the piper's anger? He's taking all the children. We hoist the witch from water and some of the wolves to feed. The monastery is deserted, she is caught within disease. And the woman in the cage sets plague upon the village. Porcelain fist, parting folds of flesh to eyeballs. Stabbed us vertebrae. Yeah. In Lilith's garden we never die. Just multiply numbers. Just multiply numbers. In Lilith's garden we unpack worlds. There we make our paradise. In shafts of light we download light. In Lilith's garden we unpack worlds. There we make our paradise. In shafts of light we download light. There we make a paradise. There we make a paradise. In shafts of light we download light. In Lilith's garden we unpack worlds. There we make our paradise. In shafts of light we download light.
Cobra Strike 13th Scroll, the last will and testament of Coffin Joe sets Operation Wolf on the old base motel. Sadistic saga sex swells, can you tell what it is yet? Protecting necks like it's off with his head. The queen loves bloodshed, and the king's rancid beard crusted with vomited flesh calls bring forth the fools. With knights they jest, the bigger the axe, the more golden the crown. The bigger the axe, the more golden the crown. The old hag in the woods cast spells on the hunt. Lycanthrope swarm in the shadows and build. Aristocrat pulse to scatter back facts and faculties to package plagues in the pit, keeping it real like war pigs and mystics on parapets of flame. Under siege, contaminants and livestock all fall diseased. Under lacerated sky, the king paralyzed still cries, bring forth the fools. On razor wire trapeze, obscene seed for the queen gaping, grotesque circus deformity, the wilderness. Feral children claw their way up to the throne. The more golden the crown, the deeper the wound. The more golden the crown, the deeper the wound. When fire mingles with the rain, the miracle worker, self-observed observer, calls forth inhabitants of labyrinths to regress the phoenix. Philosophers foretell, reading the entrails of the kingdom. The machines will work to life and all organics turn to dust. But still the fools contend all illusions are but glimpses and fictitious in intentions.
Jason thought, what's the worst that could happen? Jason thought, what's the worst that could happen? Inside, he struggled to see in the dark. Jason didn't know what to say or do. Jason looked around. Jason caught glimpses. Jason looked up. As his eyes became slightly less useless in the dark, Jason thought frantically of the worst that could happen.